Alrighty, welcome back to the stream, and welcome back again to more adventures in game dev. You're currently listening to the StreamBeats Ambient Playlist. So, let's hop back in, and I'll show you what I've been working on a little bit over the last week or so. I gotta actually get the controller for this one. Right. So, since last week, I've done a couple small things, just like a little bit of side work, to get things working. I've made a couple updates. Actually, I can probably just go through my GitHub, like, history, right? Yeah, so, like, there's the version 9 commit, which would have been last week. Yeah, okay, so I did the script player update, input script, and update settings with resolution options and window type settings. Yeah. So, the most relevant thing that happened since last week would be this. I went in, and I adjusted the settings a little bit. So now, you actually can change the resolution and the window type. Window type functions. This one actually does function, so if I do this, it'll actually go to, what is that, borderless, I think? And then if I push it again, that'll take me to full screen. It's more visible on the stream. It's not visible to me, but it is visible on the stream. You can see that the windows weren't quite right. Still got to work on the resolution stuff. That is ongoing, but, you know, it's getting there. Now, the resolution setting itself... Whoops. Didn't want to do that. Well, I can swap between... ignore how this is 853.33. That's just due to how the math is calculating out the numbers, because I'm setting the height, and then it's calculating out the width based on that using 16 by 9. So actually, I could probably set that to be floor, and that'll fix that. So 1920, 1280 by 720. So this resolution, while it does scale it up a little bit and down, it's still broken. Still need work on that. So that's something I got to fix still. I've still got to work on that. But you do have the option to change the resolution now, and it just changes how the game things are scaled around. So that's really all I changed there. Now, going into the code is where I did a lot more of the work. And actually, if I go here and do this... So, I added a new function here. I'm looking at my controller utility stuff. So, you'll notice there's two new things down at the bottom, called P2 inputs and P1 inputs. So P2 inputs, or rather the inputs, are basically just a string of 10 characters that tells you this is what's currently being pressed on the keyboard or the controller assigned to that player. So for example... it's a little hard to make out for player 2 right now because it's tied to the keyboard, but you can see I'm holding down key 87, which is W, 65 is A, 83 is S, 68 is D. Really? 65 is A, 83 is S, 68 is D? What the? How are these things numbered? So it's 65... So it's A something W. Wait, is A, B, C, D? Okay, so they're numbered in numerical order. I wonder what... Okay, tab is 9. Control is 10. Okay, that's the arrow keys. I have no idea what key 1 is supposed to be. It's not escape. Not Windows key. Anyway, so it does that. And for the key, for the controller, I have it set up. This is what I spent most of the time doing. The keyboard was sort of an afterthought. I just kind of threw in there to get things so it didn't fail and crash the game when somebody tried using a controller with this script. So it allows you to put down different inputs, and it works with analog stick and D-pad and face buttons, which this took a lot of time to put in. Like, a lot of time. This was a lot of work. And actually, I can, real quickly, in fact, let's see, I want to go to, what was it? It's controller input, gamepad tester, is that the one? No. I've got a controller overlay I can just slap on here real quick. There we go. So what is this? What's the website for this thing again? It's Gamepad Viewer. There it is. There you go. Yeah. So you can see I'm pushing the A button here, which is, I label these things different things. So I'm just gonna do that. So X is A, Y is B, B is C, and A is D. You got up, down, left, right, diagonals. The 5 is just a neutral position, and then you got this. Did I set the front? I can't remember. Did I set it for 0.2 or did I set it for... I set it for 0.2. I gotta set that for 0.25 probably. The threshold for the sticks. I set it to 0.2 because I thought that would be a good threshold, but 0.25 it actually works better. Alright, anyway. That's basically all I was doing there. I was just creating a script that would allow me to pull out whatever was previously put into the controller and output it as a string, which I'll be using for my own nefarious ends as time goes on. But that was a lot of time. That was like 4 days, and it took me all the way through the heights of like, yeah, this works. I coded everything perfectly. Oh no, what's wrong? Oh, it was a single thing that was off. So let me talk to you about for loops real quick here. So over here is the script for that. I call it player input because it's just stringing together. And this one I actually wrote out in code because I'm going to start converting things to code a little bit because while the blocks are useful, they do take up a lot of space and they're very hard to parse when they're like so spread out. Whereas this one, it's a little bit harder to parse exactly what order things are going in, but it is much more compressed in comparison. Anyway, so part of the problem I was having was... Oh, right, I should also talk about the data structure grid stuff. I'll do that in a second. So what I was doing here was, part of what I was doing is I was running a loop here, which would take these variables and do checks for controller inputs. If a controller input was active, it would spit out true and then stop, and that would spit out this value G. Similarly, then it would go through other things, find out which one of the other buttons is pressed. If I had 2 buttons down, spit out thing and spit out H. And I would use those to cross-reference on a grid, which gives me all my input information. The problem is I found out that I was setting these things up to fail at a max number, which is 4. You know what, actually, let's just bring up the grid now because I gotta talk about that to explain what's going on here. Alright, so here. This is my input grid. It found out that Excel, or rather GameMaker, has the option to import a CSV file from Excel, which is incredibly useful. Because that means I can literally pop open Excel, just enter a bunch of numbers and strings and whatever into a bunch of cells across any size, slap them into GameMaker with a single function that'll just load everything in, and then I have all this data input in a giant 2D data storage format, which is a giant grid, which allows me to just, you know, read whatever information I want out of that. And if I want to access something, like, for example, if I want to access this first point over here... Sorry, I'm doing this with a little bit of a delay. If I want to access this first point here, that would be the point 0, 0. So I would just use a function, data structure, get, grid get 0, 0, and it would pull out that number, which is nothing. It's an empty space. Don't worry about it. Or I could pull out this one here, which I believe is 8, or this one, which I think is 2. I can't actually read that. It's a very tiny screen that I'm trying to read it off of at the moment. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I'm basically... That's the data structure thing. It's basically just a huge shortcut and allows me to make... It allows me to basically batch create a bunch of array information without having to worry about it. Like, this is effectively just a big 2D array, except that I can make it in Excel and modify it in Excel, or even just Notepad, without having to open up GameMaker and, like, target the specific instance of it, or create the grid at the start of the room, but then also adjust it as the room goes on. Like, I just have this one thing I made in Excel and import it at the start when I load the game up, and it works. It's really handy. Like, I'm going to be using this stuff significantly more often now that I know how it works, because all I have to do is just make a CSV file and dump it into the app data folder, and it'll just go. That said, I don't know how well that's going to package up. I don't know if that keeps everything, or if it's going to not exist. Like, that's something I'm not entirely sure about. I suppose that's something I could probably test, but I'd have to test it before I push it out, so I'm probably going to do that later. I'm just not sure how exactly this thing would get saved when it's getting pushed out to, like, a executable file for other people. Like, is it just going to exist in this format specifically? Is it going to do that, or whatever? Anyway, that's just what a DS grid is. It's just a little... This particular one is a 5x5 grid. So, going back to this here, I made this thing with the intent that it would loop up to the max number, which is 5, or rather, the max number is 4, right? Because it starts at 0, goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so it would loop up 5 times and hit the limit, and that would be it. If it fails, then it gives me the value of G, which is 4, and allows me to pull values from, like, the edges of the grid without having to worry about anything else. It's very simple, it's very concise, it's very, very compressed. Like, look at this. This is the entirety of the code. And then I have, like, 2 if statements after that. Like, that's everything. But I was having a lot of trouble because it wasn't pulling the values out properly for whatever reason. I found out that's because what actually happens with the for loop is it does the following. If it's not already initialized, initialize the number, right? And then it does a check, and then it increments. That's what you think it does. What it actually does is it does the initialization, it takes G. I don't exactly know how to explain this, but it takes G, it runs it through the entire code, and then it increments up, and then it checks it. So, like, you have your initial increment of 0, then after that point, it'll increment up and then do the check. So G will go up to whatever the max number is, but normally you wouldn't get that value because you would either hit the point below it or it would just fail and then disappear at the start of the next loop. But what actually happens is it does hit 5 in this case. This is supposed to go to 4, but this does hit 5 for a second. Rather, no. This is 5, but this was only supposed to go up to 4, and it actually does hit 5. It wasn't supposed to, but it did. So it does increment all the way up, which was causing big issues, because it meant that anytime I had one of these values on the side here, like along this edge, it wouldn't read it. It would just say, take the blank stuff on the very outside, which has no values at all. So I took like 4 or 5 hours and eventually figured out I had to add a -1 onto it in order to get the correct value. And that fixed all my problems, and now it works. So that's... that's a pain. Anyway, that's that covers most of what I did. So I did a lot of stuff with this thing, with the player input thing. I had the gamepad input, which I was working on, which I made prior to that point. I did data structure stuff, which is going to be very, very useful come, the future. And yeah, that's about it. And also I updated the settings a little bit. Now, the reason why I'm going to be doing the setting stuff today, or redoing parts of settings, I should say, is because I was working on the settings to update them. And while it was relatively simple for me to update the settings, because I had sort of programmed it out to be in parts that makes it intentionally easy for me to change things around, it was still very fiddly and a lot of stuff all over the place that just broke and broke until I fixed the numbers correctly, and it's a whole thing. So, what we're going to do here is we are going to see about adjusting that a little bit and rewriting some of this to be a little bit cleaner and more concise. I probably will be converting this to code. Because, as I mentioned before, code it's a little harder to, like, initially get things set up, because the code blocks themselves are very, like, the block stuff I'm doing here, all of this, very, very useful. Because this is much easier to, like, see and parse out, like, okay, this should be going into this, into this, into this, into this, which is very useful for getting stuff set up initially. But it's not as concise and clear once you've got it all set up. For example, when I was doing the stuff on the script here, this went through like 3 or 4 different forms. In fact, I think if I go to the control utility... Okay, yeah, no, this is different. I guess I deleted it, but that had a very different form initially, where it was a just mess of if statements and blocks and switch cases and all that stuff all over the place. And after putting it into the code, I managed to go like, oh, okay, I've got all these if statements here, but I could really compress that down to like 2 if statements just by changing a couple of variables and how they're read. And I can make this a case, which cuts out a lot of stuff, and just do all this stuff, and it just helped me simplify it down. Like I said, the nodes and these things, the blocks, very useful for actually getting it set up initially. The code is what you probably want to use later on once you're finished with that and you need to actually get it to work. Oh yeah, also, let me just mention this as well, because that's a fun little thing. I also, as part of the stuff using the data structure stuff, I've now got a data structure grid that's being dynamically created and adjusted in size based on whatever's going on. So this entire code, theoretically, is infinitely expandable, and I'll never, ever have to touch this again. Like, small adjustments here and there, but theoretically, I don't need to do this because everything is based off of relative variables and limits. So I can import a 100 by 100 grid of inputs for... If I had a game, which is just an arcade cabinet with like 100 buttons on it, I could actually just import all these things in and say, okay, these are the combinations for all these buttons in every combination of 2 buttons. And it'll be able to just run that perfectly fine. It's just 100% perfectly fine to be able to read that. That's the kind of thing I want to work with. I don't... Like, that's... It's what I usually call, like, the correct way to do things, as opposed to the functional. Because when you're usually doing something with a game, like, you work for the case you're working in. you're working with, like, I'm making a single-player Pong game, let's say. So I'm never going to bother implementing controller settings that'll work for controllers beyond the first one. I'm never going to implement anything for player selection. I'm never going to implement anything for controller bindings, because there's only going to be one controller, or one player. So you would never program anything out to work beyond that situation. That is the functional case. But what I like to do is the correct one, which is, okay, so this is ideally what we're going to be using it for, but if we just change a value here, it goes up to infinity. Which, maybe the physicist in me just making formulae. Anyway, back to what I was doing here. So we're going to start with the selector object. And I'm going to show you my process for how I've been sort of working with the code stuff. Okay, so here's part of the problem. Now I've got to figure out what these things actually translate out to. So, let's see. Studio 2. Is it room get name? No. I'm gonna go back to rooms. Is it room? Room, previous, room. Ah. It's just room. Oh, it's literally just room. So var temp room is equal to room. That's it. That's literally it. Yeah. Also, var, putting var in front of it means it's a temporary variable. If I just get rid of that, it becomes like a full real variable. Okay, so now we have this. If the variable temp room is equal to the main menu, call user event 2. If it's equal to room settings, call user event 4. If it's room game, assign variable gmaster, which is that, and variable blah, blah, blah. Bunch of if statements means that we could compress this down into a switch case on the create step. So switch. Okay, now I don't remember how switches work. I think it's switch case. So I believe it's switch, yeah, it's switch expression. So switch temp room. Okay, so in case it equals room menu, do code and then break. And basically just repeat that over and over again. So we're going to just have a couple of those right here. And this is call user event 2. Which I think I could probably simplify those down too. Okay, so it's room settings, break, and that's call user event 4. Let me actually just do this. No sense in wasting time when I can just copy it over. So settings, room game. Also, you know what? Let's just Zoom this out a little bit so I can see it more of it. Okay, so room game, call user event. Okay, so room game, and then it's this one's actually going to be a thing here. So gmaster was that. If okay, G1 new semester active is equal to 0, then call user event 6. And else call user event 8. There. So, that has compressed all these blocks down into this little bit right here, which I can also squeeze down into that space if I wanted to. Now, let's take a look at user events. Let's take a look at user events 2, 4, 6, and 8 here. User event 2, assign variable, master is instance nearest main menu. Mass prev Y, and it does this stuff. Right. Why is mouse previous Y here? Right, okay. Okay, so let's take this through. Because these things are only being called right here, I don't need to really deal with that. Also, because this is here, I don't need to bother with the macros, since I can just do this right here and just put, like, comments there to let me know what's what. Which I can't really do here. So, assign variable, master. Is this? Just get rid of that for the moment. So, main your master. Mouse previous Y. I could probably just do it here, honestly. Yeah, because this is being run on Create, so it doesn't really matter. All of them have the same code, so I might as well put it there. So menu 0 is mstart. Or rather, this. Okay, so 1 is settings, menu. Okay. Right. So there's going to be 2 more. Now, the tricky part here is I'm actually going to have to keep this information on hand because I'm referencing it in later stuff. Okay, so then this one is... Okay, so you got these things which change the macros around. Assign variable selected. It's equal to inst menu start. Which just sets it up right at the beginning. And for some reason I had I is equal to 0. Alright, so that's event 2. That's user event 2. And look at that. All that stuff now condensed into this. That entire thing is now right here. I have all the information visible. I don't need to go into sub-objects to do it. And while I'm at it, let me just really quickly just disable all of these. Okay, now, event 4. Okay, mouse previous Y is now being dealt with right here at the beginning, so I don't need to deal with that now. Part of this is why I decided to do this, because it's such a pain to update the settings menu each time, man. It's so annoying. One thing also that I'm doing that's ideally good about this is I'm going to be able to convert a lot of these things more easily, when time comes, into a 2D array. So right now, it's just a list. I go start game, settings, credits, exit, right? But if I get to a point where I have things on like the left side and the right side of the screen, particularly in the settings menu, I'd have to be able to have things like menu 01, which is going to be like the sound options or the window setting, because it'll be 2 columns of settings and I can just have a lot of those things. In fact, if I wanted to, I could actually turn those into a DS Grid or layout and just have all the things in an Excel sheet and just go, okay, this is, this one is the settings option, blah, 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 and just have it in a big old thing, which allows me to put as many of those as I want on the screen if I want to. I don't want to yet, but I can get there. Okay, so let's just copy these over for now. I'm just going to copy them directly so I can adjust them all at the same time when I'm done here. Subtract. Alright, then we've got window here, which is actually... I'm actually quite happy that window even works. Okay, and then... Why did I set it to that instead of just closest object? That's weird. Guess it doesn't make too much difference. I could also just set selected to be those. Although... Yeah, no, this is fine. In this case, I'd probably want to put select at the very bottom of this entire thing, because that way it'll only occur after the rest of these have been set up. Yeah, well, let's see this here anyway. So that's user event 4, user event 6. User event 6, we got this. It's probably just gonna be this again. Yeah, there you go. I0. Alright, now we got these. There we go. Alright, so that takes care of that. And this. I'm just going to put that there so it's not broken, just in case. That's user event 6. Now user event 8. Mouse previous Y is already set. Up here. Selected. Is that M is 0. That's a new one. I don't remember why. Oh, right, now I remember why. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So, now all these user events have now been compressed into the main create code. So that's event 2, 4, 6, and 8, with all the variables in between all set. So looking at this now, we can see, okay, obviously I can just take I out. I could probably take I, M, and selected out all at the same time. So I equals 0, M equals 0, and selected equals instance nearest menu type. That should be able to just work. And then for good measure, just in case that breaks something, I can block out the code like this, which keeps it present, but also not. I got a funny feeling that selected might need to be at the bottom of this code, but we'll see. And just for consistency's sake, because it's going to be nicer to look at like this. There we go. Look at that. Nice and easy. All right, so... Okay, so the problem here now is I'm not going to be able to run this directly because the macros are going to be running as well, which need to change stuff in the later parts of the code. So I'm going to have to go through all that stuff to make sure it's working properly. Anyway, create step is now set, so let's go through to the step. That's the only other real event of any note here. For example, here, another thing. I could just get rid of temporary right there and just make it a regular variable. It doesn't really matter too much, I don't think, but it's an option. Alright, so let's go through here. Menu, start game. So let's just go here. 0. Okay, now this actually is not 1 anymore, if I remember correctly. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so now I need to go to 4. Yeah, that's right, because I changed these around. Sound effects is 0, save is 6 now. Sound effects always has to be the maximum number on this because it's going to be at the bottom, and it goes through sequentially from 0 to whatever. Okay, max score is 1. Score is 1. Min score is 2. Score subtract. 3. Resolution is 4. And window is 5. There we go. Max score is okay. Now for this. Okay. Part of the problem is also these macros, I think, will be running at the start of the game, so I'm probably going to have to go through these and shut them off manually. Okay, so 6, resume settings main menu. I think settings was the only one where I had a weird numbering. Okay, now for this. Sound effects, save. Yeah, 0 and 1. There we go. All right, so describe these ones. This is okay, just care of those. 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, settings menu. Resume. Okay, it takes care of all that. Right. So now we go to here. Oh yeah, I saw that. But it's just a video. There's no gameplay. So I'll check that out a little bit in more detail, but I did, like, see that it's out. Also, hi, Canalius. How you doing? Been a while, hasn't it? There's 2? Yeah, I see the comment demonstration here on their Twitter. Combat systems introduction and combat system demonstration. Yeah. Okay. I'm honestly not sure if I should look it up, because I'm very interested in seeing it, like, when it starts, as opposed to the early versions. I just saw, like, little bits and pieces, and I went, yep, that sure is the Library of Ruina looking combat. Like, not actually, like, how the combat's set up, but, like, the way the sprites were, like, hitting each other. Yeah, I see it there. You got, some kind of shark. Looks like a shark. And... what is this? Shark, and I don't know what that other one is. Telegraph pole. You know, I mean, the fluid sac is clearly the shark one. Like, that is just a shark with a fluid sac on its belly. That is all it is. This other one, I don't even know what I'm looking at. It looks like a skeleton tree wearing a robe with an apple for a head. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's in the same tweet as the fluid sac in the other one. I see the shark, which also has, like, some kind of weird black-looking thing, and then there's the apple tree one in the same tweet from yesterday. Oh, there's the telephone pole one. It's further down. Ah, oh yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? I can see the other one here. It's like a weird wolf telephone pole thing. Neat. Yeah, and there's a Millie new song, In Hell We Live, Lament. And there's a picture of the city. Look at that. Alright, well, oh, those are getting into November. Alright, well, I'm interested, like I said. Yeah, well, I'm very interested in seeing what it's gonna be like. Got some time before then, though, clearly. That's... I guess that's a balance point, but... Ew, that's... Not sure how well that's gonna go down. Passives being passive and not having to cost resources was already a very hard thing to work around, so we'll see. Yeah, I know, but you still need to pay to, like, get them going, which means... probably mines again. Go back to the puppet mines or whatever. There's gonna be some new version of that. You don't? Oh, okay. That's way better. Ah, okay. Okay, yeah, so that's kind of like that's kind of like how Golden Sun does it with the Jin. You could have like your class or whatever with all your special abilities and your boosted stats and whatever from having your Jin set, or you could summon a big ol' summon, just super special, big cutscene attack to just wipe out everything, and then just have your Jin slowly recover over time. Interesting. Okay. So they're throwing a lot in there, and it's still a gacha game though, right? I just need to check. Is it still a gacha game? Or they just might not, also. Like, they might just not do that as well. I guess it would be... Like, I can't imagine they'd be like, oh yes, everybody loves gacha. We know everybody loves gacha. Like, I can't imagine they're going to be that foolish. Ooh, wow. That is a lot. That sounds pretty sick. I'm definitely gonna be playing it. I don't know how much of it I'm gonna play. Because I'm definitely not gonna be paying money for the gacha stuff if possible. God, what was it? It's mouse position. So I need to jump the mouse to a position. Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, that's good. That is good to hear, because I remember, I think you mentioned that, like, okay, wait, how do I set the mouse position? I think you mentioned that, like, the developer thinks that gachas are good game design or something like that. Display mouse XY? Is that it? Display mouse set. I guess. Wait, no, what am I talking about? It's not jumping to point, it's jumping... Yeah, because the object is actually moving to a point. That's what it was. The sprite's moving to a point, not the mouse. What do you mean fourth match? What does that mean? Oh, okay, the match seller. Oh, he's jumped to point just... I wish that GameMaker's manual, like, gave you the... That's not it. Gave you, like, the code version of a block if you're looking at it. Yeah, that would make sense. Have the different egos just augment the character's attacks instead of creating unique attacks for each single ego. So it's just like, if you give someone a different sword, then it just augments what they look like slightly and changes the sprite colors and whatnot. It's way less work and it makes more sense that way, instead of everybody has a different moveset for every single weapon. Okay, so I guess jump to point is just set position equal to selected.x, selected.y. So it would be self.x is equal to selected.x and delta.y is equal to selected.y. So just be that. Each ego will have different background, even if it's the same ego on different people. So it is different by character, then. Each ego will have different background, use the same ego. Yeah, so it's different per character. They're running it per character as opposed to per ego. Okay, yeah. think I could probably just put this in the thing at the start of each step, honestly. Just put it right here. Okay. I see. So the similar thing, yeah, so it just looks slightly different per each person. But would that mean that, yeah, it's fine. But does that mean also, like, so does, like, one person have... No, because it's all specifically 4th match, so I guess they're just doing a lot of the background stuff to change things around instead of changing the character sprites, which actually, that makes sense. Just have fancy picture that's not in motion all the time. You just have one fancy picture as opposed to 5 or 6 per character, per ego. Okay, so user at 0 if mouse previous y is not equal to Yeah, but does that affect the in-game sprite, is my question. Alright, well, I'll have to watch the video eventually, I suppose. I'm just really, like, I kind of am interested, but also I don't want to, like, spoil myself for whatever is going to happen, especially since it might change. I'm just mostly interested in, like... I'm mostly interested in her release date at this point. That's the main thing I'm curious about. When is that going to happen? Oh, so there's actually guarantee for this year? Good. That's more information than I had known before this point. Guess this is user event 3. I don't remember. That was a while back, regardless. Okay, 5 and 7 are there. Could I just take both of these and put them down at the bottom? I should be able to, right? Because this is getting called no matter what, since I'm using this to check whatever the room is. So I could probably just take these and put them right here. This is all the switch, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, so just put them right here. But just for safety, let's just... Well, like they keep saying, everything is subject to change, so it might not even look the same in the final release. Just gonna check something here. Go away. I don't want that pop-up. Okay, it looks good. So just keep moving on the step. Yeah, that's fair. But there's just not much to talk about with the game, really, because like you can do all the speculation and such that you want, but they keep saying everything's subject to change, which means that anything you see now may be completely wrong by the time the game actually comes out. And like, it's the main thing is just when the game finally does come out. Like, that's what I've got to wait for. Wow, it's very different from what we got. This is... okay, this is something I can actually modify now that I know how to work it better. But let's copy this over first. I mean, yeah, but... yeah, that's true. They're not going to change the art a whole lot. Well, no, they could. They could still change the art, especially if it's the rough designs like they showed off for the wolf and the blob. The one for Snow White, maybe not so much. But the other two are just like, those are concept sketches. Those kinds of things disappear into the void all the time. I've got an art book for, what was the art book I just had? God, what game was it where I was looking at the art book? Oh, right, it was Monkey Island. The art book for Monkey Island 2, like in the game files, showed off like the evolution of the different character styles over time, and you can see like, oh wow, this character looks very Disney. This character looks like a weirdo. This is the height. This is the crazy dude that we finally got, which doesn't look anywhere near as good as like the Disney style ones. Weird. Well, again, that'll have to wait until the full game's out. Yeah. Sleepy day. Very sleepy Saturday. Okay, so we got wall loops. Okay, so each of these are while loops of like the same thing. Setting, I, menu, I, G menu, I, and GS menu, M. I think I can change this actually now to be much better. Anyway, let's see here. So, first off, call user event 1. I gotta look at how the syntax for a while loop is. There it is. Okay, so while expression, then statement. So it would be while menu I not equal to selected. Just like this. That's all it is. So I is I plus 1. If I is equal to 4. There we go. Okay, then keys down. It loops around. Okay, so now we got to deal with keyboard down and keyboard up stuff. So selected menu, okay. so then, if... So if keyboard is up, or down, let's go down first. Four. Zero, and then selected is menu I. Then it's up. Minus I minus 1. Okay, so is that everything? Yeah. So the while loop does a while loop. If menu I is not equal to selected, then it loops through everything until it hits the one that it is equal to. And if it's... And then once that's done, you control it using the keyboard. Down adds 1. If it's equal to 4, it goes to 0. And if it's equal to -1, it goes to 3. All right. What's this? Oh, duh. Oh, duh. Wrote 1 for some reason. Okay. I think I can compress this down, though. Okay, so what is the main difference between this and the other ones, right? Let's see here. If I do user event 3, the main difference is this becomes setting instead of menu. It has a cap of 7. And that's the only difference. So let's just copy all this over, in fact. So this is got to be changed over to setting. And let's see, it maxes out at 7, and goes to 6. Okay. So now that we have these two... I completely did the wrong one by accident. Like, this is the only difference between these two. So what I think I can do here is I can actually ultra simplify this down. Just hyper simplify this down. All I need to do, right, is change what this is called here, and this number, and this number. And those are the only 3 changes that need to be made between any of these bits. So, what I would do in that case is I would go over to Create, and I'm going to maximize the Create tab. Let's get rid of those for the moment. There we go. So, Create we got right here, right? So, all I'd really need to do is just take these, I think, and change them all to menu. Because at any given time, only one of these is being called, and the selector object is being, like, summoned in each time. So they're never going to overlap. And the important part is all the original code is still here, so I can just disable these code blocks and no harm, no foul. So we're just going to change everything over to menu. Okay, hopefully this works. Yeah, this should work because these variables are still being... we'll see. We'll figure these things out. Figure these out. Alright, so the menu object has now been labeled, and now we are going to create a new variable here, which is going to be... max. Max. And that's just going to be 4. In this case, it's going to be max 7. This one will be 3. This one's going to be 2. For now. These numbers can be changed, though, which is the important part, and they can be changed very easily. So, we go back here. Okay, and we go. Alright, well, menu I selected, I +1. If I is equal to max, I is 0. If... Okay, and then we get down if I is equal to max, 0. If I is -3, go to max -1. Ta-da! Now, what's the difference between this bit of code and this bit of code if I replace that? Absolutely nothing. So, I just get rid of that. And get rid of this. Although I probably should see here. So, this one is a slight change. Because I gotta check how the submenu active stuff works. Or rather, I have to check how those two events work. So that would be 5 and 7, right? They're still the same. This one just uses M instead for some reason. I think because I didn't want to have I overlap. Yeah, it changes nothing. Okay, so what I am going to have to do, though, is I'm going to have to change the control objects, or the master objects for the various menus in order to make sure that they are referencing the correct things now. That should be fine, though, because the only difference is these were calling in specific numbers for those, so I can just get rid of that. I can actually get rid of the temp room thing, can't I? I don't need that at all. Because now the room is, like, effectively completely unnecessary information. Okay. Right. Did I miss something here? I don't think so. Yeah, no, the while loop and the if loops, the if stuff is completely separate. These should be further back, if anything. There we go. Okay. Now, we have to see about compressing all this down. I don't actually think I can. Like, this one, I could just make it a for loop. I could just make it a for loop and just go, you know, like, for I is 0 and all the way up and whatnot, but, like, I don't think it's necessary. Okay. Anyway, this basically takes care of everything I need to do with that. This does everything I need there. Look at that. All that stuff compressed down into 36 lines of code. That's primo shit. And the create step is a little bit better. Well, it's a little bit longer. It's 55 for all this, but that compresses down everything, including the user events. Okay, now we get the fun part where I have to go into the different rooms in order to make sure they work properly. Which means everything's going to crash. So let's open up a room real quick. Gotta get this in the correct position. There we go. Alright, let's see. Does the main menu load? Yeah, it does. Okay, I know exactly what the problem is there. The problem is that I used the wrong thing for this. I don't... So the trick is, I was using keyboard key whatever. Like, when you look at the normal code, it's if key pressed. And this has a very specific property where it'll determine if a key is pressed for the first time. So it won't loop every single frame that it's active. It'll only do it for the first time you press it, and then if you take it off, it'll reset. If runs every single frame. So I need to find out what the correct function is to determine if a keyboard button is down. Yeah, if key pressed, if you need to check for a key being held down, not just the initial press event, then use the action if key down. So I need if key pressed. Which keyboard input? There's a thing right here. Okay, so there's a keyboard check pressed function. Keyboard check pressed. Is this the correct one? Okay, so keyboard check pressed. Unlike keyboard check function, this will only run once every time the key is pressed down. So that is perfect. That is exactly what I want. So I want to do this. And I want to do this. And that should do it properly. Yeah, look at that. Okay, excellent. Credits. Yeah, credits. Settings. It's working? It worked? Wait, it worked? Why is it working? That should not be working, to my knowledge. Like, all the code is disabled. It shouldn't be functioning right now. Like, it should be pulling... Okay, hold on a second. Let me take a look at the game master object is fine. I guess I'll take a look here. No, this isn't what I want. I'll take a look at the settings menu. That's probably the best one to look at. So on create step, run user event 3 and 0. User event 3 and 0. 3, basically assigns variables based on what I'm doing here. This is basically just sets of variables for the actual options that are in the game. I should probably round that up in that case. Event 0 creates the actual menu objects themselves. Yeah, and then there's the selector that gets put in right there. Okay. Create object. And let me just draw a GUI right here real quick. Let's go... God, what's the function to, like, raise it up? Is it sealing? Rounds up to the nearest integer. So, yes, seal. There you go. So that'll round it up to 854 now. Right. That's not what I needed, though. Step event. Call user event 4, 1, and 2. Okay, 4. Setting selection sync. Max score. Okay, this just... All this does is synchronize what is being displayed with what's actually in the current global setting options. Alright, so main menu button press. This just basically just sanitizes the input, so if I click or press enter, it does it. And exit to main menu without saving if you press escape. That's all that does. Okay, so if you press enter, variable assigned enter 0, in selecting selector selected is equal to... Oh, because that's all internal. That entire array is internally contained in the selector object, so at no point does this ever call it. It's effectively just for storing the variables to be compared here with the selected thing. So when my selector object here has the selected thing, that's the only thing that matters. The rest of this is just storage to compare against this value. Oh, that's what I did. God, I'm smart. I'm so smart. That is the best way I could have done that. Have a single universal variable that gets pulled out, which does all the comparative work on the front end and the back end before being passed over. I'm so smart. I am very smart. God damn, dude. Thanks, me. Anyway, I guess that means that the settings stuff is now set there. If I need to add more settings to literally anything, if I just want to go in here, go to settings real quick, right? Let's just open this up a little bit. Actually, you know what? I can even delete all these events now. All of these are completely redundant at this point. These do nothing. I'm not going to delete them yet, but I will disable all the code in them. Just to be sure. Because you never know when something's going to break, and I'm going to have to go back and reference, okay, why does this say this? Oh, that's why. Like, this is something I would delete after the next version of the game. Like, when I do my source control stuff, I would, like, push out the next version of it after the stream. You know, whenever I'm done with that, I'll push out the next version of the game to itch and then to GitHub and whatever. And then that's when I would delete all that stuff, just so I have a backup going. This is when I deleted all those files. Just to get rid of all that extraneous code, which is completely unnecessary. All this extraneous code goes away. All of this extraneous code goes away. It just leaves me with a create and a step event, and that's it. All those user events can just disappear into the aether because they all get combined down into... All of that gets combined down into fucking... this right here. This is the entire thing. this is every single one of those user events as 3 different kinds of statement over like 30 or 20 some odd block lines of code. That's it. I feel so good, man. It feels so good. That's the good feeling. That's like the runner's high of programming. You get to see all this nonsense bullshit hyper unoptimized code, and then you just go, what about if I just make it this? And just squeeze it all down into this little teeny package, which just does all the work for you. And just, feels good. Don't judge me. I can get my satisfaction from multiple things. Don't you just look at me like that. Anyway, I'm just gonna real quickly just save that. All right. So that takes care of the cleanup work I wanted to do today, which is great. It means I can do stuff I need to do about learning new things. Okay, right. So, let's take a couple steps back here, and let me explain the other thing that I wanted to do today, because my title today is named Alarming Settings for a reason. It's because, 1, I am dealing with settings, and 2, I want to learn about how alarms work. So, what's an alarm? Well, let me open up my object test here. An alarm is a thing. So what I've gathered, really, is that... Let me go to the create event here, too. Whoops, not that. I don't want the destroy event. Delete that. And is there anything in the step? Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm just moving the thing around to the mouse position. Right, so if I go to create, there's a thing here where you go to alarm, and you have set alarm countdown and get alarm countdown, and then you have the actual alarm event. So, what I've gathered is that, okay, so alarm, you can have multiple alarms, right? There's up to 11, whatever. I feel like it's weird, that's weirdly arbitrary that you can only have 11 of those. Okay, so here's what I know. You have an alarm, you choose the alarm number, you can have up to 11 of those things, for some reason. You have a countdown. The countdown is run based on number of frames, or number of, like, steps, as opposed to time. This isn't seconds, this is like 30 frames or whatever, so my game is running at, I want to say, like, 500 frames per second, so that's 30 seconds is going to go real quick. Or that 30 frames is going to go real quick. I don't actually know how many frames my game runs at. I can check. Let's take a look here. Debug. Alright, like, the test room in particular runs at... debugger, Windows, resource? No. How do I... Ah, there it is. Okay, here, let me, do this. You can see up here, my game is running at currently somewhere between 4,500 frames per second, and like sometimes it dips down to like 2,500. I don't really know what's up with that. So yeah, like right there, just dropped down a bit. So anyway, that 30 frames isn't going to last for very long, is what I wanted to say. "30 frames lasts enough time for slow-mo guys to capture it, and that's about it. The Phantom X 4K can see how many frames per second there are. My monitor sure can't. Anyway, so that's how that works, and then the variable here is just you get whatever this current number is as a variable, right? That's all that is. As for what the alarms do, I don't really know how this works. So what I think it does is it'll count down, and then when it's done counting down, it'll execute whatever's in here? So let me try this, right? Let me put a sound, play audio, play my bloop sound. Let's set my alarm to 4,000 here. And I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm just gonna, instead of that, do this step. If mouse pressed, left, set alarm, countdown. There we go. So, theoretically now, if I push the thing in about 1 second, it makes a bloop, which it's not. Okay, how does an alarm work? Because I've learned, what I've seen is that alarms are supposed to be like a delayed code execution thing. So, just as an example, if you're doing a normal game, right, and you go and you change resolution options, this is the main reason I wanted to learn this. When you do resolution options, the game will change the resolution, and then a window will pop up that says, do you want to keep these settings the way they are? And it'll say save or revert, and then it'll give you like a 30-second countdown. Whereas if you don't push the save button within that time frame, it'll revert to whatever your previous settings were, under the assumption that those worked. Which is kind of a vital thing to have in the game. Like, it's really important to be able to do that. Honestly. Especially in a situation like this where my resolution stuff is very fucky at the moment and not really working, and I've got a lot of work to do on that. Got a lot of work to do on that. Like, that's probably going to take a lot of my time over the next week whenever I find time to chip away at it. Anyway, set alarm. Let's see what set alarm says. So action blocks is to give an alarm to count down. And when the alarm reaches 0, the associated alarm event will be triggered. You supply the alarm number from 0 to 11, and then the value to set the alarm to 2. Value uses the number of game steps that you want to pass before the alarm is triggered. You can set this to be relative to the current alarm value, adding, subtracting. To the current value, note that the value must be an integer value. Setting alarm to 0 will not run the event since the down can dash -1 next step. So run alarm immediately, it should be set to 1. Set additional alarms in the same action by clicking the plus icon beside the action. Okay, so why isn't it doing the blip? Okay, let me just set this to 30. Let me try setting it to 30. All right. Let's see what happens here. Nothing. Oh, what? Okay, so it's working. Wait, why is it so low? Why did it take so long? Okay, so that's weird. So I set it to 1. I wonder. Oh, is it really? Okay, let me see here. I'm gonna do a timer. Yep, that's 1 second. Approximately. So it... That's weird. Should be running at... Okay. Here's a better question. How many steps are running in my game? Also, let me close this. Let's see. It's game step. How many steps are in a second in GameMaker? Time in GameMaker is measured in steps. There are 30 steps per second, which is set under speed in the settings of the room. Speed in the settings of the room. So if I go to my test room, and I go to settings, where is speed? Where is speed? Speed. Speed. Maybe it's under this. General game frames per second. There it is. There it is. So if I change this to 30 frames per second, for example, time is currently set for 60. So there it is. Oh boy, you can tell the difference. Oh man, that's jumpy. Let's try this out. Ready? Let's try, can I do 120? Will that work? I mean, yes, but I can't see a difference because I'm using a 60 Hz monitor, so whatever. Okay, so that's where game speed is set. So, can I pull that as a value? Can I pull that as a variable? Because if I can pull that out as a variable, then I can set this to be relative speed instead of per frame count, right? In case I wanted to do a variable frame rate for whatever reason. If for some reason you're playing this game of Pong on a system which is so poor it can't run a game of Pong, like, I don't know, a pregnancy test? No, didn't someone get a... Hold on a second. Didn't someone get a game Doom running on Pregnancy Tester? Yeah, someone got Doom playing on a Pregnancy Tester. Popular hardware finagler Foon Turing has played Doom on a pregnancy test. Because there was a pregnancy test that had like a little LCD display for some reason. Oh, that's cheating. No first-person shooter... no first-person shooter jokes. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good article. Caroline Delbert. Okay, that's a good one. Hardware Wonk has successfully played Doom on a pregnancy test by removing most of the interior of the test, including the original CPU. Food and Turing used its tiny one-color display first to stream video of the classic video game and then actually play it. That's cheating, yeah. That's cheating. Because, like, there's a difference between playing Doom on a pregnancy test's hardware and playing Doom using a pregnancy test's LCD screen, which is very different. Like, you can just run that. That would effectively just be like running it on a computer through a little teeny screen. That's the only difference. That's cheating. Oh, cheating is not quite rude, but still, you know what I mean. It's like the difference between, like, it's like the difference when I play a RTX game using GeForce Now. Like, I'm playing, I don't have an RTX card in my computer. My computer has a GTX 1080, which is an excellent video card, and you can't buy them anymore, unfortunately, because the whole thing. And also, my graphics card is going to die real soon. I can feel it in my bones. I'm terrified of when that's going to happen. And I'm kind of hoping for the 4000 series cards to not cost $10,000 and also be available and not spend $300 a month on power costs. That would be sick too. Anyway, that's the difference between me saying, like, oh, I played Cyberpunk with RTX on my computer, and saying that as I have an RTX card in my computer and I use it to play Cyberpunk, or I just played it via GeForce Now and streamed it to my computer with RTX on. Like, there is a difference there. That is not the same thing. One of those is you actually use the existing hardware to do the thing. The other one is you had a screen that you just plugged into. Which, you know, still impressive that you managed to get working on a 1-bit pixel nightmare LCD screen on a pregnancy test, but it's not the same thing, man. I think the ones where you play Doom on, like, a fridge exist, though. Anyway. What was I doing again? Okay, right. The reason I brought that up is because I was like, oh yeah, I could theoretically set this thing to be a variable rate depending on the screen's... Can I get the screen's rate? Let me see, actually. Get screen refresh rate. Finding out refresh rate of the monitor. Set the room speed very high. Delta time. What is delta time? Delta time. Variable returns. That's not it. Thank you. Okay, delta time. Variable returns the frame delta time, which is the time difference between the previous frame and the current frame. This value is in microseconds, where 1 microsecond is 1/millionth of a second. The purpose of delta timing is to eliminate the effects of the lag or slowness of computers that try to handle complex graphics for a lot of code. It's a value that can be added onto the speed of objects so that they will eventually move at the same speed regardless of lag. This is achieved in GameMaker by using the delta time variable every step, as it measures the time that has passed between one step and the next in microseconds. Therefore, the variable delta time can be used to calculate how much faster, for example, a game character has to move to make up for a lag spike in the game. Oh! Okay. Interesting. So basically what that means is, let's take an idealized situation where I'm playing Pong, right? Like, let's say this is the ball and it goes boing, 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 whatever, right? Ideally, the code says that you have to move X pixels in whatever direction over whatever period of time. But because of processing overhead, it may not be able to do that. It may only work like, let's say it's supposed to move 10 pixels, maybe it only moves 5 pixels. Knowing what the delta time is means that the game can then calculate, okay, I have to move an additional 5 pixels to make up for what I'm supposed to be at, according to what the game's telling me, because the game is running slower than expected due to computing overhead. Now, how would you actually implement that is my question. I want to see something here real quick, actually. Let me try this. Let me just... Testing. Main menu. Do this. Alright, and let's set this to... I'm going to set this to 15. Let's make it feel like shit. Okay, good. That doesn't change much. Oh, man! Oh, man! Oh my god! Oh, it feels so bad! Oh my god! Oh, Jesus! So again, like, just an example there. Just an example there. The ball... God, this is the exact problem Saints Row 2 has. This is why you don't tie your physics to... You don't tie anything to game frame rate, because this is what happens. So how would I fix this in that case? Like, if I was doing stuff with variable frame rates, how would I fix it so that this doesn't happen? This is really funny, though. Like, this is legitimately really funny. Oh, Jesus, okay. This might be something I asked the expert for. I'm gonna try and get it bouncing perfectly. Couldn't get it. Okay, let me send the message off. I'll get a response at some point in the next couple weeks. I need some water too. All right. Okay, let me just... Let's just make it 60 again here so it works. I don't have to deal with that ever again. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway, now that that little bit of horror has been dealt with... Okay, now that bit of horror has been dealt with. Back to learning about alarms, which is the main thing I wanted to deal with here. So, let's just see here, right? Okay, so we got this. I got my alarm if mouse button is pressed after 60 frames, because 60 game steps, one step is a tenth of a second. So basically after 1 second, it'll go away. So... one other thing you can do is you can also have the alarm in here, and you can do this. So, alarm 30. Just as an example. So, we load up the room. And that means that every time the alarm will now set itself off to do something else. Now, if I want to, I can also make a second alarm here. So let's make another alarm, alarm 1. Set this one off to alarm 0, 30 seconds. And play audio, blip. And we're going to change the audio pitch slightly. Audio blip, we're going to set to like 0.2. So we're going to do this. Now watch. So the two alarms will just trigger each other infinitely. Which is excellent. That's exactly what I want to see. Now, one other thing I do want to see is... Actually, you know, let me just... Let's get rid of this, get rid of that. Alarm 1's empty. I'm going to just delete this for now. So, what happens if I do this? I'm going to click a bunch. Is it going to trigger the alarm multiple times, or is it just going to... Okay, so if I keep clicking, it's not going to do it. Excellent. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to know. Okay. So, what we're going to do now is we are going to go over to the controller utility here. And let's see, is it under step? Okay, player inputs is out. Okay. And then... Okay, so let me... I might have to do something in the input script itself. Okay, so if I do this, what I want to do here then is... Can I define an alarm in code? Okay, let's take a look at alarm. Okay, alarm is a one-dimensional array with no actions or code, so I literally just type alarm. So literally I would just do is type alarm and then the number. Alarm get, alarm set. What's EV alarm? I guess another thing that you could do here would be, for example, if you're doing a platformer and you fall on some spikes, on impact with the spikes, you can set yourself to be invulnerable for however long, have the alarm activate, and go like, after this period of time, reset invulnerability state to 0. So you're no longer invulnerable after a brief period of time passes. That would be another example of something you could do with the alarm. Let me think here, though. So I don't think I should put it here. This script is good because it's very simple and it does exactly what I need it to, which is just output inputs as a string of text. I think what I should do instead is go to the utility. Object, where is it? Total utility, okay. So go here. Now how would I do this? How would I do this? I guess what I would do here is I would create a variable here, which is like... Now, because I also need the W. Let me think here. If I... Okay, so I guess what I could do in that case is forget about that one for now. Go to the create step here. Let's make a new variable right there. We're going to do... Okay, we're just gonna do like this, right? Very simple. And then step. For W, blah, blah. If previous pinput W is equal to pinputs W, so if the string has not changed, then alarm Okay, wait, actually, it should be if it's not changed. If it has changed, if they are not the same, then alarm 0 W. Alarm W. Alarm W. Let's make 2 alarms. Nope, not that one. That should be 1. There we go. Okay, then alarm W, make it 30 frames, half a second. That's only if they're different. And then afterwards set there we go. Okay. So now what this will do, ideally, is not crash. Variable not set before reading it. Previous pin put P, pin puts W. Might have. Okay, yeah, I did write it wrong. Whoops. There we go. Problem solved. Okay, let me get my controller. Alright. Now, what should happen is, when I do this, I don't know why it's constantly flickering on and off like that for the keyboard. That's very strange. Anyway. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to just put whatever in there. And it'll delete after a period of time. Now, why this is doing this with the keyboard is beyond me. I have no idea what that means. Why is the keyboard being read as an input still? Because I'm pressing 0. Wait, does that work? Is that right? Because if I remember correctly, 0 is technically always being pressed. That doesn't seem right. Does it? Anyway, that alarm test works, which is good, mostly. Oh, also, I found out something else fun. It turns out the PlayStation 4 controller is completely backwards of what the Xbox controller buttons are. So, that does not work properly with the stuff I was doing. It's lovely. Anyway, that's something else to just tinker with. The important part, though, is I'm going to be able to set it up in the settings once I get the resolution settings working to begin with, which is the big problem here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do this. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do real quick. Good. I think it's working right now. I'm not noticing any major bugs at the moment, which is fine. I gotta check if this game works right now on another computer. So let's gotta build executable package as zip. There we go. Now let's see if it works on my streaming computer here. So hopefully nothing breaks in the next couple seconds. Copy, paste over there. Okay, let's see how it works. Yeah, whatever, Winrar. I'm also really quickly going to just make sure I get rid of the... I need to get rid of the app data thing here. I think it's local. Which is local? Not local. Is it roaming? It's not roaming. Is it in local low? Well, regardless, it's not here in any of them. I must have cleaned it out prior to this point, which works fine for me. Okay, BlockBall. Let's load it up. Oh god, that resolution is bad. It's working, sort of, but it's not great. I can't even see the things. They're off the screen. God. Okay, well, regardless, it's not crashing, which is good. Okay, you know what? Let me see here. Let's try changing it to 8540 by that. Oh boy, that's even worse. Oh boy, that's even worse. That's credits, that's exit, so that's settings. That's windowed mode. Yeah, this is not working. Oh, hey! Cool! So, it actually worked when I set it back to 1280 by 720, just it's all squished in now. So, hey. Where it's gonna break. It's gonna break, I think. Okay, controller plugged in. A. Down, up. Okay, it seems to be working fine. Cool, excellent. Looks like garbage on my computer. Alright, cool. Perfect. Get rid of those files. Get rid of the thing that's not shown up here. Alright, so that really takes care of the stuff I needed to take care of. So, hey, that's pretty sick. Everything's working, besides the resolution, which, so interestingly, the script and stuff that's supposed to be scaling the resolution down or whatever to match the monitor is the part that's breaking it. And just changing the resolution back to 1920 by 1080 according to, like, the in-game stuff is the thing that fixes it. So that is going to need to be examined in much greater detail. I'm gonna have to do a lot of testing to figure out what's going on with that. Alright, anyway, hey. Got stuff done today, at least. Settings is now set up for a lot more stuff. I know how to do alarms, and I'm gonna have to implement those with the resolution stuff. So I'm gonna leave that there for now. Let me also... Do I have anything I did on my to-do list? Oh yeah, I probably also want to do some stuff here where control options get reset. Let's see, resolution window size, still working on that. Default settings button, I gotta do that as well at some point. Look at scripts, already done that. Yeah, I've been using arrays quite heavily. I don't think I need to worry about this one anymore. And eventually I'm going to do wall collisions. That's still on the list. Alright, anyway, I'm going to leave that there for today. Again, relatively short, but I got stuff done, so hey, I call it short and sweet. That's how I'm selling it. Anyway, that's going to be out on itch shortly. I just want to do a couple small checks just to make sure everything's working properly with the file, and then we're good. Actually, I'm probably good. I just did the checks. So I'm gonna keep tinkering away with resolution, see if I can get it fixed up properly, and hopefully that'll be the end of it next time. I don't like working with resolution. It sucks almost as much as working with controller stuff. But it's probably the most important part, because if the window doesn't work on your computer, then the game doesn't work on your computer. Alright, anyway, I'll leave that there for now. I'll be back next week with something. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I got more stuff on my to-do list. I might start working on the collision math things. And, yeah. Tomorrow's more Pathfinder. Gonna start on Angel. That'll be fun time. Once again, you have been listening to the StreamBeats Ambient playlist. Always lovely music. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, nights, what have you. And see you next time.